Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming to this channel. We really do appreciate, and remember, we are here to encourage girls to pursue science and technology. We are here to showcase other role models that are pursuing STEM, either students or mostly professional. And we're here to make sure and ensure that these girls are exposed to so many types of STEM careers, and also to just show them the technology. So guys, today I have a very special guest. I've been trying to speak to her for quite some time, but today I'm so excited. Her name is Pendo Manjele. She's a data scientist. Guys, remember, there are so few women in data science. Did you realize that? Okay, first of all, there's few women in just STEM particularly. And now, if we even start going deeper into different segments, disciplines, it's even worse. But today, guys, I have an exciting visitor to me. Let me bring her up because sometimes I talk too much, right? So let me bring her up right away. Hi, Pendo. I think you are muted.
Oh,
Yeah.
hi.
How are
Thanks.
you? Thank you so much for coming for Girls for STEM. I really do appreciate. It's very nice having you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. Finally, I think we've been having this conversation for a while, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yes. Guys, you know what? As engineers, we're always busy. So I was very patient. I was like, one day, she'll have time because I remember even myself, I'm also so busy. And, I also appreciate other people's time. So I'm really grateful that you're here. So, guys, let's dive into it right away. So, Pendo, who are you? What are you doing? Could you please share with my viewers?
Yes, sure. Thank you so much again for having me. And who am I? Quite an interesting question, and it's multifaceted. But to maybe focus it, narrow it down to my professional career and also tech career is I'm a data scientist by profession. I like to term myself as an individual that converts data into value. I started my career as a software engineer 5 years ago. And from software engineering, I moved to data science. I found my passion that lies in data science. And I started data science through online courses, self learning, and I decided to also actively apply for roles in data science to build my career and skill there. So I transitioned to a data science role as soon as I started learning, because online courses were not. I was able to learn, but I wanted to get that hands-on experience and build my skills as well. So I moved into data science, got a role into data science, and from there, I have never gone back. I am still a data scientist. I'm very passionate about the work that I do, and I have learned so much over the years and still learning. There's still so much more that is there to learn, but I'm still grateful that I'm here and I've learned so much over the years, and still going.
Wow. Guys, I just love her technical articulation, the way she's articulating to this discipline. And oh my God, that's so amazing. So, curiosity took you to data science. How did you just shift from, you said software engineering, right? To data
Yes.
science? And what a combination! That's a really dope combination, guys. Oh my God. So, what really intrigued you to just switch? Because software engineering, it's also another world, definitely. So what really made you switch? Just to, I'm curious.
Maybe let me take it back a bit. So when I
Hmm.
was university, when I went to university, I studied computer science, and whilst I was at university, I had a different idea of what a career in computer science really entails. So it was very binary, that is conventional programming or networking. So I leaned more towards programming because I wanted to build and create meaningful experiences using technology, right?
Mhm.
So after graduating from university and getting into the industry,
Mhm.
I started my career as a software engineer, like I mentioned, and I also loved interacting with the business, understanding what's going on, like the impact of the work that we're doing,
Mhm.
I'm doing, and I also love the tech side of it. So I was always curious, trying to figure out what are we doing, trying to solve problems, and also I also wanted to understand more of what is going on the business front. And so after interaction and getting to learn more about other careers in tech, I discovered I could actually mix both the domain problem solving. Um, and the technical skills in a career, which was data science. So I started learning, and I was very passionate about it and very intentional about it. And I got into data science that way. So it was out of curiosity, out of that discovery
Mhm.
within my career, and also just finding my niche. So I still call myself a programmer, but I'm a data scientist, but I still do use my programming skills to help me do the work that I do. So having that programming background actually um, was a good foundation. And it also propelled me to get into data science, because the other thing that I had to build on top was the domain knowledge, understanding the domain that I was solving the problems in the data science space, and also just uh, building on other skills that were required. But the technical skill, I still hone it, and it's actually helped me navigate my career as a data scientist.
Wow. Oh my God. Amazing. Amazing. Guys, women in STEM, engineers, women engineers, as you can see. So, young girls, women out there, students who are just trying to pursue STEM, here we are, guys. We are trying to showcase that we are here. We are there to change the narrative, to change the world, to be part of the technology that's going on. Amazing, Pendo. So, what are some of the projects that really interests you in your field, or something that you did that you were so mesmerized, or maybe projects that you work on that you really find intriguing or something? Could you share with my viewers?
Sure. So I think over the past years, I have some of the interesting projects, or some of the focus has been mostly around experimentation. So business intelligence, using data to understand customer or user trends, deriving insights from
I
the
like that.
data, the data, and also create building models for prediction. Understanding different users. So I've worked in different domains, such as I worked in a capacity as a consultant, and in that role, it was multifaceted. In consultancy, you get to work on different projects. Like I worked on a project such as in the agriculture space, which was more of crop disease detection. So this was a machine learning model that was detecting whether a plant has a disease or not, and what kind of disease it has, which was quite interesting, because I think agriculture is one of the focal um, points, especially in the African landscape. We have so much land and we have so much farming going on, and one of the prevalent problems is plant diseases, right? So
Mhm.
that I found that project very interesting, and just the ability of using data, like the data to train a model, and using computer vision as well, like the image processing side of to determine whether a plant is can be classified as uh, diseased or not diseased, and also categorize what sort of disease that plant has. So it's easy to um, find what remedy. And stepping out from the machine learning and data science side, I've also been very interested in converting data into value. I think that is one way, and in another way is with users, right? Every
Yes.
day, data is being generated. Um, but then one of the biggest challenges is data is generated in different formats. So
Mhm. Mhm.
um, creating that, putting data together. So you find that 80 to 60 to 80% of the time is you're cleaning data.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
yeah, so you're cleaning data, trying to put it in a standard format that is ready for analysis, or making it useful. So that's also one interesting side of it. I think over the years, I'm no longer afraid of having data that is messy or unstructured. So when I see data that is messy or unstructured or very big, I'm like, okay, this is interesting.
yes.
Let's get going. Let's see what we can do with this data. So um,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. You know what? When you are talking, I am going into mathematics,
Yeah.
mathematics models, distribution. Sorry about that. Distributions, different type of format of data, how you can, analyze it to see if is it standard, is it what format is it in, how is it behaving. And I remember in mathematics, that's how we were able to also produce certain models or certain type of functions. How can you derive an equation from this data? How is it behaving? It's interesting when you're talking. I'm like, oh my god, again, my viewers, I just want to share with you that when you do engineering, you start understanding things around you, data around you, how it's behaving, how can you model it, what can you produce from certain data. And that's what she's trying to explain, of course, in her own understanding as a data scientist. Okay, I'm not a data scientist, so I'm just trying to, it's mesmerizing to hear you talk like that, because I'm going back to mathematics, how we were trying to analyze things and things like that. Wow.
Yeah.
So, when you started talking about data, how you clean up data, things like that. So, could you share with my viewers that data can be anywhere and it can be in anything? For example, you started talking about agriculture. We can talk about banks. We can banks and customers. We can talk about population. We can talk about so many instances. I don't know how you call those disciplines and their data. Could you share with my viewers that being a data scientist, you can actually work anywhere? Are you convinced with that statement?
Yes, actually, and like you have put it, it's everyone. I like to say everyone is a data analyst, because every day we're making decisions. Every day we are generating data, or um, playing around with data, right? But it's just
Mm,
a different levels at which we interact with the data.
yes,
So if usually the question that I get around, where will I work as a data scientist, or where will I
yes.
work as a data analyst? Any field that generates data. So one of the fields, like I said, I've worked in a capacity as a consultant. I
Mhm.
worked in telecoms. I've also worked. I'm currently working in an audit firm.
Yes.
And in all those sectors, you find that there is data. There's a lot of data, and with that data, there's a lot of value that is can be derived, in terms of you can generate, like in a sector like the financial sector. They're generating data that can be used to determine how the users are behaving, right?
Mhm.
You can also find out patterns, like in when you want to find out, when you're making predictions, or you're trying to detect anomalies. So the financial sector, that is the banks, fintechs, insurance companies, those are
Mhm.
heavily using data to build business value.
Yes.
Let's take it back a bit. Health industry, the health sector is heavy on data,
Mhm.
patient data. They're using it for diagnosis. They're using it for early diagnosis of diseases, and also for prediction of how different patients respond to disease, to medicines.
And you know
It's
what?
very,
Not to
yeah,
cut you, please hold that thought. Just hold it right
yeah.
there. I just need to slot in this. My sister, she's a director at a hospital in UK. She just visited me here in US. She just left like
Okay.
2 weeks ago. So, because we always talking about technology, we are in STEM, both of us, with my other
Mm-hmm.
grandkids. So she was telling me how data is really, really important in healthcare to
Yeah.
understand diseases. So when you're talking about this, I was like, wow, data is all over. It's everywhere in every discipline. So continue that. I just wanted to slot that in. I'm like, we were just talking about it last week with
Yeah.
her. Yeah, continue.
Yeah, so I think like I mentioned, it's every industry that is generating data or any industry that wants to win, really is looking at how they can use their data. So most industries have, for the longest time, they've been sitting on data. So they have this gold mine. So you find the transport industry. So whichever industry that just makes like which you're passionate about or where you want that interests you. So I think you can work in any industry vertical as long as you find. So if you're more passionate about health, go into health, explore the data there. If you're more passionate about engineering, engineers are using data, logistics, companies that do shipping, they would obviously want to find out the shortest distance or which distance is for them to optimize their deliveries. So to answer your question, it's
Yes,
any industry that is generating data and wants to win.
yes,
Um, it does require a data scientist or a data analyst, and that means you can work. I think every industry wants to win, so that means you
yes.
can work in any industry as a data analyst.
Wow, wow. That's very, very true. And I was invited by Stanbic some time back, and one of the points that I gave out, because most students are saying they don't have jobs to work at. So one of the things I mentioned was like, you know, we can also be independent as data scientists to support the industry. What's your take on that one?
Okay, independent in terms of, sorry, I didn't quite get that.
Independent in terms of supporting the industry in terms of data, to capture data, analyze it, and give it back to whichever industries is wants that data. Is that possible?
Well, I think that's what some of the companies are doing. Um, so you find that you have a service that is free, and you are wondering, why is this service free? So what they're doing is collecting your data, collecting your information, and using that information to derive insights that are being shared with other businesses or companies to help them win. So
Yes.
at the end of the day, you realize that there's a lot of monetization in data. So I would want to know, who is Pendo? What does she do? Where does she
Mm.
live? How much does
Yes.
she earn? Um, what is her age?
Yes.
And imagine I have 10 million records of different individuals
Yes.
because I have created this app, which I think is useful, but I haven't, it's free, but I'm collecting people's data. But the end goal of me monetizing or making money from that is I'm going to analyze that data, sell those insights to businesses that want to target me as that want to target users in certain demographics or age groups, and want to sell a product to them. So those are some areas that some data centric companies are using to make money and also just create value at the same time.
Yes. Wow. Wow. That's interesting. Wow. We can go on and on about data because it's a very interesting topic and I really, really love
Yeah.
it. So, Pendo, I'll take you when you were young because most mothers, kids wants to know, how do these engineers become engineers? How did their life start? So I'll take you back when you were about 5, 6, 7 years old, you're growing up. What's going on there? Are your parents, mom, dad talking about engineering? Are you surrounded by people who are discussing about engineering? What's going on when you're about 6, 7 years old?
Interesting. 6, 7 years old. Okay, that's a long time, but
Yes.
um, maybe just to bring it up, maybe just to think of maybe ways that I think may have shaped my guided my career into tech.
Yes.
I grew up in I think I was both my parents were, my dad was more and was very technical, although more in trying to build something electronic in the house, and I'll be watching. And I also watched a lot of movies that were science fiction, like Spy Kids. And
Yes.
so from there, I was like always intrigued by the touch screens. I think by then there was no touch screens in real life. There was no touch screen
Yes.
in real life. There were, and then also looking at robots and how everything else was. I'm like, okay, this is fiction, but it was exciting, right?
Yeah.
And I also would play video games with my brother, and um, that in itself maybe may have slowly started shaping me or directing me towards having that interest
Mhm.
in tech. But I think it all came together when I went to when I got high school, because I went to a technical school, that is Ndola Girls National Technical High School, and that school is mostly STEM. So from there, I was directed like the next, my career has to be in STEM. Well, not that it
Yes.
was cast in stone, but
Mhm.
it's those things that really mold you, like slowly from home,
Mhm.
being exposed to technology. And my mom as well was a science teacher, so is a science teacher, so also that may have also contributed. And when I went to high school, as I went to university as well, I did have a lecturer who encouraged me to pursue a career in computer science, and I also had a neighbor who was a programmer, so I learned a few tricks and tips from there. Yeah, so
Wow. So, viewers, you can tell, number one, she's watching things in the house. She's watching fiction movies in the house. And when she's young, growing up. So, there is a TV, there's something there that she's watching. And then later on, she goes to a tech school. That also contributes. And I just want also to point out that, remember, we've been interviewing a lot of engineers on this channel to see how they become engineers, what really goes on in their life. And remember, some of them mentioned that their neighbors told them that they were really smart. And some of them have mentioned that they were watching science fiction. Pendo, she's not the only one. If you go on those videos, most engineers, they've mentioned that one of them is Mukosha. I'm not sure if you know him. Mukosha from Zambia is an engineer. He was a student at Kobe Belt University. He was so funny. He was watching a fictional movie called Science Don't Be Stupid or something like that. I don't know, but it was very interesting just by the topic. But what I'm trying to say is, wow, yes. So people around us, the things that are going on around us also help us, shape us. And also, because we tend to have that eye of seeing those things that have been told to us, or those things that we've seen. So that is also an encouragement. Wow, that was really, really interesting. So I always ask my viewer this, Pendo, because it's a very, very important question. We want to know, how do these engineers become engineers? What is going on in their life? What else is supporting them for them to be engineers? Because most parents are asking about that, and most students, because remember, we're trying to encourage young girls to pursue science and technology. How can they do that? So what are some of the challenges that you faced as a data scientist? How many women have you seen in this industry, even in Zambia today? What can you say about that?
well, to start with the challenges, I think one of the most prominent challenges, I think, just like you've mentioned, is there's no visibility to role models.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we do, sometimes you want to see someone who is already in the industry and is thriving, right? We have a lot of medical doctors, we have a lot of lawyers, we have several nurses. So it's easy for me to say, for a young girl to say, I want to be a medical doctor, because they're able to see those doctors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the prominent challenges is the lack of visibility to role models. Second, I think even the education system is a bit does not encompass um, the different verticals of tech. So it's like I mentioned, for me when I was in university, it was very binary: conventional programming or networking. But in between all those things, there's machine learning, there's augmented reality, there's virtual reality, there's cybersecurity. So
Yes.
I think that specialization has to be embedded so that even as I'm in university, I know which field I want to fit in, so that my
Mm,
mind is prepared and I also understand what's involved for me to
mm,
get there. And then another thing that maybe perhaps in terms of challenges is uh, um, the I think there's a lot of, well, no, I won't say the industry does not reward um, does not reward at a set. The scale of rewards in tech is not very competitive, especially here in Zambia. So
mm.
there's also those factors. But now things are changing
Yes.
slowly, and I think we begin to see such in terms of how competitive the pay scale will be because of the pandemic. Um, talent is being imported from Zambia. So now there's that war for talent who can pay more or who will give you the best benefits, etc.
Mhm.
Yes.
Wow, wow, wow. Oh my goodness. Your stories and just how you explain, I'm just going so embedded in the discussions. I really
Mm,
get intrigued in data science and just to understand, what's really going on, what are some of those challenges, why are women into data science. And so the other thing I also mentioned earlier on was the students are saying that they don't have jobs available when they finish data science. So, what are some of the things that they can do? So, remember, I mentioned earlier that I was called the Stanbic Bank a conference where I was also talking. I mentioned that, we cannot just wait for companies to just employ us, but we can also do
mhm.
something, right? We
Yeah.
can provide a service that can support the industry in terms of those areas. So those are some of the things that maybe I don't know if it scares the women that am I going to find a job. But one good thing I heard you say was you have to know where you can fit. Every discipline, every industry do require data scientists. And sometimes we have to convince a company that I can come work for you and this is
Mhm.
what I can do. I can manipulate this data and this is how you can move. So I think they also have to understand how they can sell themselves to some of these companies because every company do need a data scientist. I think that's how I understand it. Wow, thank you so much, Pendo, on that one. So, Pendo, what would you say to a girl growing up out there in remote areas here in United States, in different countries, even particularly in Zambia, in Shangombo, those that are
Yeah.
interested in science and data science, being in STEM? How can you encourage those girls to pursue engineering?
So my encouragement is if you're interested in getting into tech, um, first of all, there are communities out there, and one thing that I'm very strong and passionate about is community, creating communities for people to come together, learn, and share knowledge.
Mhm.
So, join a tech community. There's Developer Circle, Lusaka, which is one of the communities that you can join, or any other tech community that is centered or focused towards the area of tech that you want to pursue. Um, Community is very, very important if you want to grow your skills because you're learning from others who have got the experience. Second, there's also inspiration because sometimes when you're doing things on your own, you might think you're um, learning the right. You might be learning, but it's always good to learn, see what others are doing, right? And
Yes.
also, there's always opportunities that are shared in community, inspiration, a support system. When things get going hard, when
Mm,
things are hard, you have a support system that you can look out to and say, hey, I'm having this challenge. Are you able to help me?
mhm, mhm,
Second, also building relationships.
mhm.
Find people who are, are already in a certain vertical of tech that you want to pursue. Follow them on their social channels, build relationships. So the relationships have to be genuine, where you find a way in which you can connect with them, follow them if they are going to share, if they share content. Try to look up their content, ask questions. Others do respond
Yeah.
proactively. You don't have to know them personally. It doesn't have to be someone who's within Zambia, right? I think that social media has given us the opportunity to connect with people beyond our physical, beyond our geographical boundaries. So that would be one way, and the second way. And then also work on projects. One way to build your skills is find a project that interests you, contribute to it, or just work on it and share that project. And
Mm.
others, there's a lot of feedback. I think the tech community is one community that's always sharing feedback. Sometimes the feedback is not good, but it's a way that you can learn and say, okay, fine, how can I build on this? Others give very valuable feedback, right? So work on projects, build your skills, and share those projects. And maybe the fourth one would be when you learn, I always encourage people to teach. So there's always
Yes.
someone more fortunate who wants to learn what you. So there's never little. You might say, I'm not so good yet, but
Mm-hmm.
there's value in always giving back, teaching, helping others. So you might share it in an article, in a tutorial, or volunteer to teach people in your community, because at the end of the day, we are all, in a way, we all have a way in which we can give back. However small, it's still contributing to a greater cause. So those are the four things that I would speak to: community, uh, working on projects, teaching, and also finding your heroes in that space or role models that and follow them on social media.
Wow, wow. Guys, that's why we are here. You can see that we are women in STEM. And again, Pendo Manjele, she's a data scientist and engineer, as well as also, someone who's passionate about this career that she has. So thank you so much for coming. We really, really do appreciate. And I know there's so much to talk about. Hopefully, you can come
Yeah.
again and share with us. We are watching your space, as you go on. So thank you so much. We really do appreciate and hope you can visit us again on this channel.
All right. Thank you so much for having me, and hopefully we can have another conversation in the future.
Yes, yes, yes. Please, please. Thank you so much, guys. We've come to the end of this interview. It was amazing. I really, really loved it. And definitely, I will call Penda again to come and talk to us, because I know, guys out there, you are about to go in to become data scientists. Thank you so much. Bye, Pendo.
Bye.
Wow, guys, I really, really love talking to her, especially just understanding that data science is found in all disciplines, everywhere. And those people that are looking out for jobs or anything else, it's about time to convince companies that what you can do with the data. Every company needs organized data, and to use the data that they have to do so many times, either monetize it or just amazing things that they can do. So thank you so much, guys, for always coming to this channel. And ciao, ciao. See you next time.